Sup guys, Elijah here, and let me welcome you to another video about the app lifestyle, the place where the world is literally in the palm of your hands. And in this video, we'll be covering the Uber driver app, specifically Uber Eats, and the 5 ways you can make money as an Uber Eats driver outside of just simply driving for Uber Eats and getting paid by Uber. I'm sure you've heard of a lot of ways with UberX on how to make additional money. Business to business marketing, business to consumer marketing, all of this and all of that. But what about you delivery drivers out there that want to make extra money? This makes sense because a lot of those UberX options aren't really feasible to a delivery driver. There's no customer in your back seat to do any business to customer marketing. This video is not a simple analysis of the Uber Eats pay structure. You get paid from trip earnings, from tips, from boosts, from quests. No, we already know all that, and as far as I'm concerned, that's lumped into one big category of what Uber Eats pays you. These are 5 totally separate ways that you can get paid with Uber Eats away from the platform that you can do at very minimum effort if you do it right. So without further ado, let's get into it. Coming in at number 5 is actually the stock market. You may be wondering how in the world is making money in the stock market applicable to the food delivery industry. But there actually is a decent amount of downtime in this industry. Now if you're following my channel, you're not going to be waiting at restaurants, but occasionally you may find yourself waiting something small like 5 minutes. During that time, if you're using investment apps such as Robinhood, M1 Finance, or Stash, you can actually do a little research on some investments and stocks that you might be thinking about picking. In doing so, you eventually have enough knowledge to brush up on the company, then you can make a decision if you want to make that stock part of your portfolio. I'm not saying that all your research can be done in this time period, as that would be a little naive and ridiculous, but one thing you can do is search it generally so you have the general categories to do more extensive research when you have more free time to look into the matter. And if you do end up finding stocks that are right for you, that pay dividends or give you capital gains, whatever you're looking for, then that time was spent towards making you more money. Of course, I do have to give the disclaimer that I am not a financial advisor, so I'd advise that you know what you're doing before you even think about doing this. But if you're willing to brush up on that information and you're willing to download some of the apps mentioned, which by the way will be covered on this channel later, then this can definitely bear you some tangible rewards within the far to near future. Seeing as how this wouldn't be feasible to someone driving a person around all day 24/7, this makes the list just at number 5 in terms of ways you can make money on the Uber Eats platform outside of Uber Eats. Number 4 is to actually learn a new skill set, and not just any skill set, a skill set that pays you money. There are plenty of freelance opportunities for those who are willing to put in the work to learn these skill sets that businesses and clients very much value. Take myself for instance. Y'all obviously see that I edit videos and produce them. I had a client the other day who's a vegan chef. He wanted me to record clips of him talking about his services and edit them with images to give a visual of what he was talking about. Obviously I did that, and that came at a price. This is just one example of how you can use this opportunity in the car to educate yourself on these freelance opportunities. And in case you're wondering how does that translate to an Uber Eats driver, well, these skills don't drop out of the sky. You have to learn them. And one thing you can do while you're in the car delivering food to people is listen to things on the topic. Become educated on how to do these things. It all starts with you getting the information and then applying it. Now I know this means that some of y'all will have to sacrifice that blasting your music in your car, which is such a hard sacrifice, but it will pay off in terms of money. And I've talked about this in part 7 of the Uber Eats course. It's as valid today as it was back then. Of course, that was just my example. There are plenty of trades out there that businesses and clients need services for. Ranging from video editing to selling to graphic design to illustration. I could keep going endlessly, and all of these are technology based, but many trades are not technology based. So if you're willing to pick up a new skill set and sacrifice that blast of music in your car, you can get audiobooks, listen to YouTube videos, or even go to audible.com and listen to some of these things that are related to acquiring a skill set. And by doing this, you will have effectively raised your income, and it all comes back to you listening to this information while in the car delivering food. This is something only an Uber Eats driver could do, because if an UberX driver tried to,
I'm giving you 1 star. I'm gonna drop you off here in a bad neighborhood. How about that?
Number 3 is to actually wrap your car. Believe it or not, there are many businesses and institutions that will pay you to turn your car into a walking billboard. Some of these companies offer a flat fee, some of them actually pay by mileage. But regardless of the situation, since you do a lot of driving as an Uber Eats driver, this makes you the perfect candidate to get paid for this job. And since there's been a lot of controversy about can you do this as a rideshare driver, it makes the delivery driver the next best stop when it comes to these companies. There are already a number of companies that are out here doing this, such as Rapify, Carvertise, Free Car Media, etc. Or you can actually be bold if you got the sales skills and reach out to some of these wrapping places in person and ask them, hey, are any of your contractors or businesses you do business with, are they open to having a driver to advertise for them? You'd be surprised what jewels this may hold. Opportunity favors the bold. And since you're not doing anything extra other than you're already doing, which is driving and delivering food, this makes this a very appealing choice to make more money doing what you're doing. Coming in at number 2 is business advertising, which is somewhat piggybacking off for number 4. If you develop a skill as a freelancer, then you will actually have a product or service to offer those around you. Obviously, this will be for those who are leaning more towards the entrepreneur route, but let's be honest, if you're on these apps, you're at the very least entrepreneur curious. Once this is actually set up, you can arrange to have a pamphlet or a poster put on the side of your car, and people who are walking by or driving may see that pamphlet and they may be interested in your service. Now, the difference between doing this with Uber Eats and UberX is you won't actually be able to stop and talk to anyone unless someone getting in your car happens to be interested, but it ends there. With Uber Eats, there are plenty of moments where you get out and in of your car. So you're going inside the restaurant, pick up the food, you come back to your car, people are walking by seeing that service. And if someone is interested, they can stop you and ask you about it. On the same token, the same applies for when you're dropping food off to a business or the customers. Most would agree when it comes to talking to strangers and introducing what service you have, this is what's known as the icebreaker in sales, just walking up to them and being able to talk to them. But what this does is effectively eliminates you having to do that. Customers will actually be approaching you, and as long as you have a game plan on what to say to them when it happens, you can definitely get some sales or some money made just off of doing this. And once again, this is a little more biased towards the delivery driver and not so much UberX. Coming in at the number 1 spot is real estate referrals. Most people don't realize this, but the service you do is very, very, very undervalued, oftentimes to us, because we are driving around looking at so many houses, so many buildings on a daily basis. And there are many investors that are looking for houses for sales, buildings for sales, certain things for sales. And what most people don't know is they have pretty lucrative referral programs. Now, this takes a while to set up, but if you're willing to put in the work, then you can reap the rewards. If you go to real estate investment events and specifically talk to people, ask them if they have a real estate referral program if they're an investor. I've seen people pay as much as $500 to $2,000 just for you bringing them properties. Sometimes they're looking for a few things, but what all of these people have in common is they all love this scenario. House for sale by owner, and they're willing to pay a decent amount of money to people who bring them these type of properties. Now, if you set up the right deal, explain to them that you are an Eats driver, which means you see many properties for sale on a daily basis, ask them what their referral program is, or maybe even negotiate one, and they'll be willing to pay you a decent amount of money. As an added bonus, this is something that I personally do. I have this deal set up with multiple people, because when it comes to real estate, this is a sales business. You only get paid if a person closes on the deal. Now, you may not know their ability to sell, but you can set this deal up with multiple people. Then when you find a property, you take a picture of the sign, You have your GPS see what address it is, put that in your phone, and you send these properties to them. I send it to multiple people, and the rate to which I send it to them depends on how much they pay. I know someone that pays $2,000 per referral. That's the person that I send it to first. I know someone that pays $500. They would be second priority. Why I do this is pretty obvious. The person who pays $2,000, if they close on it, it's going to be much better for me financially versus the person who closes on it that only pays $500. And me personally, there's a day apart for each one. So the $2,000 one will get the first day and I'll send the properties to them. The next day, I send it to the 500 property one. I'm sure y'all are getting the point. But the more people you have this deal set up with, the better off it's going to pay off for you. And it requires very little work on your part. Just putting your hazard lights on, taking a picture of a sign, and having your GPS triangulate the location. And there you have it. These are 5 ways that you can make money with Uber Eats, doing Uber Eats outside of Uber Eats. If you liked the video, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace out.